You want to play coordinator real talk, press conference do-over, what the coaches can't say, whatever you want to call this game. I'm going to go ahead and change my settings here.
You got a little green screen you're working for us or something like that?
Oh, I'm changing my name. Boom. Adam Fuller Truth. All right, man. So you have to be the real coordinator, and I'm going to be the real talk coordinator. All right.
You're funny sometimes, dog. You really crack me up occasionally.
I thought about this tonight when I was reading my son his bedtime book, and anyway,
no, you came in ready.
I was like, these are some creative names. We should
Adam the Fuller Truth and Kenny Dillingham. This is exciting. All right, let's do it.
All right. So what we're gonna do is press conference today. Message board fans and everybody basically ripped the coaches after the press conference. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking some of these answers are kind of dumb, but some of these answers are like, what are they really going to say? And Shane Beamer today kind of said the thing. Shane Beamer is the head coach of South Carolina. They got absolutely whipped by Georgia in Athens over the weekend. And the coach was like, so what does Georgia do schematically up front?
The reporter was like, how come they were getting some push up front? Was that the best part was just seeing Beamer's eyes response, just like, wait, is this dude really asking me the question I think he is? But yeah.
Ed Beamer's like, you could tell Beamer's sitting there, he's thinking, he's like, should I make up some nonsense about the scheme they run? He's like, look, they got a great scheme. Right. There's no doubt. Georgia, Kirby Smart do a great job. Nick Saban tree of defense, blah, 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 blah. He's like, but guys, they've got 100 5-stars on that defense. They got a guy who's 340 in the middle who runs faster than anybody in this room. You know, and like they're super, super talented. The entire defense is fine. Anyway, if you're the head coach of South Carolina and you're facing Georgia, you can kind of say that. If you're the head coach of Florida State or coordinator at FSU, you really can't say that about Wake Forest, even if it's true as far as the talent mismatch. So it does lead to some hilarious answers in the press conference or just some stuff that we need to really read between the lines. I say we get started in this, man. So Ingram is going to be the real coordinator, and I will be the keeping it real coordinator. And all right, so first one we have up here is Adam Fuller, defensive coordinator. And transcription, by the way, by Brendan Sinone. Awesome job for him doing this of Noles 24/7. Go ahead and give those guys a subscription to do a great job and are true pros throughout the process here, even with this terrible season that FSU is in. So on explosive passes, hit me with that quote.
As far as personnel, we've gone into it. We've rolled 4 corners. We've played a good amount of bodies there. In practice, we go one-on-one every day against our wideouts. We go against our scout guys. Play the same coverages and work at it. We work top of route drills. We work line of scrimmage releases. We do that stuff every day. Why does it happen on game day? Lapse in technique, lapse in finish. As the person that calls defenses, you take things into accord. What are you getting out of our techniques that you're playing? What are the good things? Sometimes the good things don't always show up and the bad things show up big. It's my job to look at the entirety and say, okay, are we asking these guys to do too much? Are we putting them in a position that they can't execute? The reason why we do it is because we do it and we practice it. We drill it. We feel good about it going into the game. In hindsight, when you look at it, it's an issue. If it's an issue, then it's something that needs to be addressed, even if it's not showing up in practice, but showing up on Saturdays. It's all pieces of the puzzle. So you change one thing, it changes something else. But at the end of the day, our job is to keep them at the end zone. If there's a play that's showing up that gets them into the end zone, we've got to address it with everything it takes.
All right. Are you ready for the Fuller Truth here, the real talk coordinator?
Please.
All right. Guys, cameras down, mics down. I wish my secondary gave a damn as far as the veterans who are more talented players. You know, I wish they gave me consistent effort day to day and week to week. I know I haven't always connected with them, and part of that's probably on me. But, I do need a little bit better buy-in from those guys. The young guys, we seem to be getting more buy-in. You saw Kevin Knowles get more snaps. You'll see more of Shaheem Brown. Here's the other problem, though. I can't simulate in practice what these teams are going to do to us because our receivers suck. All right, we go against scout team. That's one thing. But when we go against our ones, we go one-on-ones. Nobody beats my corners. Travis J is pancaking opposing receivers out there in fall camp. Our guys look like complete first-round picks against this receiver group. And so it is taking me a couple games to figure out what we have here because in practice, our weaknesses just don't get exposed because our receivers don't scare anybody. I'm trying to get this group to work more as a team. I'm trying to get them to understand and communicate better. I thought we had a couple busts in the secondary, not deep ball busts, but some voids in some of the zone stuff we were playing. And in some of these instances, we're getting beat off the line of scrimmage on jam attempts. I do think we can be a decent jam team over the course of the season. We need to continue to play aggressive press coverage. But, we're trying to figure it out on the fly, man. This ain't easy. And, having a team that just can't throw the ball at all, be the one you scrimmage against throughout fall camp, is making it to where I'm having to kind of use games as learning tools here, and that's costing me.
Next explanation from one Adam Fuller on the long touchdown allowed. But on outside verticals, there are a lot of times that it's about getting the leverage back to help. And sometimes it's about knowing your help is on the sideline and making sure that you're using it. Sometimes it's about knowing your help is the sideline and making sure you're using it, getting your body in position to do it. Specifically to that one play, we gave up a super clean release. We tried to stem around a little bit, but with the corner late in position, not something we want him to do. But he jumped to a leverage, and the next thing you know, the guy took off on him. He played in catch-up mode for the play. Not good.
Yeah, so we're trying to confuse him a little bit there. Like I said in the actual answer, when I say we're trying to stem another guy, that means we're basically trying to move some people around pre-snap to try to confuse Wake Forest with the look. There could be some safety help coming there. However, with the release that we gave him being so clean, the safety just never going to have time to get there. And we just got absolutely smoked on the release. Again, I'm not seeing that in practice, right? In practice, I'm seeing our corners bury these receivers, but in games, we're not really seeing that. So that's really all I have on the defensive side. I thought Fuller's answers were pretty much straightforward. He largely owned these issues. I thought, he's like, look, I got to do a better job coaching. You got to keep trying stuff to find answers. He didn't say anything else really that I found. Look, it seemed like the fan base for the most part was okay, with what Fuller said. They're not okay with Fuller, obviously, because they think he should be fired. I don't know what's going to happen there. His defense did give up a ridiculous play at the end of the Jacksonville State game, and that's obviously on him and his staff. But I don't know. I do think this is an issue, man. Like, for real, some of these looks they get from the offense in practice.
Oh, it's undoubtedly an issue. It is the issue of evaluating your defensive linemen the past 3 years. I mean, you just can't get an idea as to what you have. And in my opinion, you get guys who develop bad practice habits and think they're a whole hell of a lot better than they are because of it. I mean, it's very frustrating. I would say that, the two guys personally that we were highest on coming into this year as far as what they could look like are probably the two corners.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly hasn't translated.
My guy Brownlee's been beat a hell of a lot in the last two games.
I like Brownlee an awful lot and certainly want what's best for both of those guys. And Travis J could easily have 3 interceptions at this point. Just hasn't, caught the one meaningless ball, but hadn't brought down anything else. And it's been nothing but a really disappointing start to the season. And, the safeties have been okay. There's a little bit more rotation there. But the safeties have some of the same issues that are present with defense, with the corners as well. I mean, you just need. I talked a little bit about youth movement and how you can do it in some places and you can at others on this team. And you can only do youth movement when you're like legitimately sitting down someone for a reason other than just, hey, we lost our first 3 games and that means I got to do something else. Okay. That's not, you can lose the locker room faster than you can get any kind of positive benefits down the road if you just go, telling people they're not playing anymore because of certain things that have transpired that they don't have much to do with and certainly haven't contributed to. But you can, snaps can be taken away in the secondary based off both play and probably buy-in from the unit from a week-to-week perspective. Now, I do think the side of the ball and the side of the coordinator that our audience will be very interesting in hearing you play some dropping some truth serum into the conversation is when Mr. Kenny Dillingham steps to the dais and explains some of these things that he had to say today. Because a couple of them, honestly, from my perspective, are head scratchers and, maybe not what you say, whether you're 0-3 or not. But, hey, this program's biggest problems aren't questionable comments made by coordinators during press conferences on Monday. I'll put it that way. So, on the topic of surprise looks, this is the longest one that we have, so be patient with me. I'll jump into it. When teams play like that, it comes down to one-on-ones, whether it's one-on-one in the box or a team comes out in man-free, it's one-on-one in the box, it's one-on-one on the perimeter. But it goes back to, if we aren't consistently going to win those, I've got to do a better job of helping our guys win those. Whether it's leverages, creating stacks, creating bunches, monitoring to help our guy with leverages, creating more pick routes, more influence runs so that we don't have to win at the point of attack as much. I'm reading these comments and getting intrigued by what you're going to say. I'll put it that way. There's a lot of coded language here. More influence runs so we don't have to win at the point of attack as much. Whatever those schemes that are weak, if we are struggling, I've got to put together a better plan to help our guys. I think too many times throughout the football game, I just said, go win. And I didn't help our guys and put them in the best position to be successful because that team didn't show to play man free, or that team didn't show them previously playing man free. They were about an 80% or an 8% man free team going into the game. And everything they showed was quarter and pressure 3 and 3 under deep, 4 under 3, 4 under 3 deep. And they're a pressure zone team. Basically, his entire career, that's what his system is. Started with Mike Elko when he was there before he went to Notre Dame. Same with Clark Lee. Is it Lee? Yeah, Clark Lee ran at Notre Dame. That's a soft cover 4, cover 3 pressure defense lined up and played man free. So it was an adjustment, and we didn't have enough time to help our guys versus man free in the run game and the pass to be successful.
All right, guys. Kenny Dillingham here. Camera's down, mic's down. Let's just talk real fast. I think we did a pretty good job tricking Notre Dame, and Jacksonville State, I'll wear that one. We did not do a very good job there. We overestimated our ability to flip the switch when it came down to it, and we were not able to execute at all. Obviously, we were dealing with Jordan being banged up and stuff, but that was on me. I'm trying my damnedest, along with Mike. It's really his offense, but he trusts me implicitly. I'm trying my damnedest to find solutions based on what we think teams are going to throw at us. It is really hard to get this group to score points, even against the looks we think we're going to get. Because, like Kenny Dillingham said, if you can't win up front and you can't win one-on-one, I'm just having to try to trick people every single play. It's problematic. But let's talk about why a team that is primarily a quarters team with some 3 under pressures, some 4 under 3 deep pressure. Why is a team like that saying, hey, we're going to jump in, we're going to play man free against FSU all game? Well, number one, I think they wanted to do that because they feel fairly comfortable doing that against some of our RPO game, and they could have a spy on Jordan if he's in there. Number two, I think it's because he saw Jacksonville State, an FCS team, could cover these receivers. And Notre Dame largely could cover the receivers. ultimately, guys, man coverage is the superior coverage to play. We're just absolutely dead in the water out there. This boat's got a bunch of holes in it, right? I'm not going to go out there and do a bunch of tricks. I got to try and trick people just to get this thing to shore. They know they can beat us one-on-one on the outside, and they know we can't block them on the inside with the current group we have. Hell, if you listen to Bud Elliott on the Nolecast, he basically nailed it. He said, hey, if Smith and Robert Scott don't play, expect Wake to win by 20 plus. I mean, that's a good show. You guys should listen to that. Just keeping it real. That's what I do. I'm Kenny Dillingham. Now, I think going forward, it is on me and Mike to anticipate that opposing teams will play us more manned up because they realize our receivers just suck. They realize Kansas's coaches were right about Parchment. They realize Mackenzie Milton's damaged goods. And they realize, especially with the current offensive lineman we have in there, that we can't do it. Right? Like, it's just not going to happen. But maybe if the defense totally balls out against one of these ACC teams, if I can find a way to get us to 24 or something like that, maybe we get a defensive score. Maybe we can pull out one of these games that's not Syracuse. But, yeah, did it surprise me they went all man? Yeah. Were they right to do so? No doubt. It surprised us, but also the personnel matchups, they made the right evaluation. Wake Forest physically was much better than us at most positions on offense. That kind of speaks to the depth of our rebuild.
Thank you, Mr. REALingham. Next topic is Florida State going away from the run game. Dillingham says, no, we just struggled. In all reality, we struggled blocking them. All of our explosive run were off miskeyed tosses, in which it's just a perimeter toss play. We struggled just blocking them. We struggled with a little bit of movement up front. We just struggled with a little bit of movement. But you're exactly right. They blitzed us 2 times all games on base downs. They line up. They played man-free. And they said, man-to-man, play ball. So like I said, we have to do a better job of a staff of helping. We have to do a better job as a staff of helping our guys win those matchups, helping those guys get, when they get in those situations, scheming up more free plays where we don't always have to win. A lot of these explosive runs we've had in the game were of that category, were of influence pitches and stuff like that. So we have to do a better job of helping our guys when they put when they're put in plain and simple. It's man-free. It's a one-on-one game. I have to do a better job helping our guys.
So, Kenny Dillingham here. Guys, normally when I scheme up 1-on-1s, my head coach tells me good job. It's good to scheme up 1-on-1s. That's what we want. We want to scheme up 1-on-1s in this offense built for playmakers and let our guys go do it. But here, scheming up 1-on-1s doesn't get it done. Scheming up 1-on-1s gets us shut down. I have to try to find a way to scheme up 1-on-nones, which means I need to basically be like big brain Kenny Dillingham and just be a genius on, like, literally have some kind of bust created in coverage or in run fits every down, if not multiple. Physically, we can't do it right now. We're not able to do that. And more concerning going forward, some of those influence pitches, teams will probably see that we actually hit a couple of those against Wake, which is us tricking them because they were miskeyed and out-gapped. And teams will probably start to slow play that a little bit. And those will not be as explosive. And they'll still win physically against us up front. I'm going to be in the press conference. I got to say, I got to do a better job of scheming guys open. But normally, if you give us that much man free, any kind of decent team is going to find a way to score points against that. And we're just not it right now, especially at receiver, pass protection, and then quarterback position. It's not like we really have one who we can win with. I have to do a better job somehow of pulling rabbits out of the hat consistently and trying to scheme up 1-on-nones because our guys don't win 1-on-1. Hell, ask Fuller, right? We don't win in practice against those DBs. Everybody else does in games.
Not to play the role of Kenny REALingham, but I'll just reiterate the fact that your offensive coordinator is saying that basically your only explosive runs were on miskeyed plays. What he's saying is that the defense misidentified either what you were doing or certain personnel as you went about doing it. So you literally, like Bud referenced a second ago, you have to trick people to get any kind of offensive momentum here at this point. And that's that's a curious thing to see your offense coordinator say. All right, so
And by the way,
trickeration.
like Bud here, you don't want him to come out and say what I just said as Kenny Dillingham. You want him, I think, either say nothing or just be kind of like just kind of say what he said. Now, if you don't know football, you're going to get really annoyed at it, and I think there is an argument for just not saying anything. But as a media member, I'm glad he actually speaks openly about this somewhat. And it's like, look, it's like it's on me. I got to do a better job, creating, basically tricking them. And there's nothing wrong with tricking people. It's good to do it. It's just it's problematic when it's your only thing you can go to right now. Sorry.
On the subject of trickeration. So for us, especially in the running game this week, we struggled a little bit with direct runs. So we've got to get a little more. I don't want to say trickiness because that's not what we're about. We still need to be able to run the ball at people, but we need to be a little more creative offensively to show explosive runs and spark runs early in games. Like we had some of those creative misdirection runs in the second half, which were productive runs. We've got to do that earlier in games as an offensive staff, starting with myself.
All right, Kenny Dillingham here. This is actually me patting myself on the back a little bit for saying what I said in the press conference. I pointed out we did have some of those nice runs in the second half, which make the stats look better for the offense that I call. Realistically, Wake Forest is playing more pass in the second half because they're up multiple scores. And is us popping runs against a team playing pass, is that consistent and repeatable going forward in situations where the opponents know we might actually run and the game is reasonably close? I don't know. That's kind of questionable. But clearly Wake at that point was trying to guard against us, throwing them the deep ball, and they were willing to give up the run game somewhat. And of course, some of those swing screens that we ran there in the second half once Wake was up decent. But we were able to pad our stats some there and hopefully give some real confidence to our kids, even if the efficacy may not be there going forward. But yeah, it's on me. I have to find ways to trick people constantly.
On the subject of rotating quarterbacks, well, they both have a unique skill set. They're both different players, and they both add value when they're on the field. So we did have a plan early to kind of go drive, and then kind of roll with the hot hand from there. Okay, so we did have a plan early to kind of give both of them a drive and then kind of roll with the hot hand from there. Yeah, that's something we're going to continue to evaluate, continue to work through. Obviously, Jordan's availability the past few weeks has been up and down throughout practice. So we'll see how this week goes because that'll have an effect on our thought process.
All right, Kenny Dillingham here. We are still learning about this offense, unfortunately. We had a bad fall camp, right? There were days where basically just shut it down and run special teams because both McKenzie and Jordan were out. And it's not like the other two kids can really play at this point. Milton is not the player we hoped we could get when he transferred in. And that's disappointing. I don't think we made a bad decision in making the call to go get him, but he's not really giving us what we need. Jordan, again, not a full week of practice. Didn't quit though, which is good, despite the rumors. And trying to figure out what we need to do here. Trying to see who can be better for us. I think after seeing the game, if I had any confidence that Jordan could stay healthy for more than a drive or two at a time, this offense probably operates best when it's him running the football all out and working with our backs. But I don't know, man. I don't know what we're doing right now. Just trying to figure something out, I guess.
On short yardage plays, just understanding who we are. You look at week 1 and we were successful in that situation. We've had some injuries, some guys dinged up, and that kind of changes the course of who we are offensively. And I don't think I've done a good job in adapting to the personnel change week 1 through week 3. Obviously, 2 weeks in a row, or 2 weeks in a row being absolutely the worst in the country at 3rd and 1, 4th to 1, which we've always been a team that's going to be a direct run. We've always been a team that's going to run at you, not around you. And that's been our success. One of our strengths as an offense dating back to Arizona State for 8 straight years. That's something the last 2 weeks that has been a struggle. We're going to have to adapt our plan to the guys that are on the football field. And we are going to have to do a better job as a staff, starting with myself, to put our guys in a position for them to succeed. Not just things we've done in the past that have been successful.
The plan is, guys, last week it was why we're running the Wildcat. This week it's why are we running McKenzie. I understand, obviously, that running McKenzie Milton is not the best option. That's probably on me. Now, the one time I do think he tries to just get up there and snap it quick and use his moxie and experience. So that obviously that didn't work, but I don't hate the thought of that. The 4th down call didn't work, and it's a results-based business, and I will try to do better with that. Maybe that's a call that we like if Jordan is in the game, but not McKenzie, and need to be a little more conscious of what we call there in those situations based on the personnel that we have in. But as I mentioned, or as Kenny Dillingham mentioned here in the answer, there were some personnel that we were hoping to get back, and we didn't get back. And as a result of not having Smith and Robert Scott, and the fact that DLT is obviously not himself post-injury, we're not able to run at people. And that is difficult when you have to trick people. In a real game, it's tough to trick people all the time. In the goal line situation, it's even tougher to trick people a little bit because you're in compressed space. And it's a more physical game. And I think if you just have some common sense here, you can see that we have struggled in the red zone a whole lot over the last 8 or 9 quarters, and that is one of the reasons why.
On the subject matter of missing Maurice Smith and Bavion, yes, that would be awesome, but the best situation for us is to transition to the personnel that we have available right now. Obviously, it would be awesome, and we had that situation going into the year, having Mo and having Bavion be able to slide in and not having people have to slide around all that much. That's an ideal situation, but you don't always have those luxuries in this game. Part of the game is availability and staying healthy. If we don't get healthy, we have to do a better job as a staff utilizing the skill sets of the people on the field and not asking them to do what they struggle at, asking them to do things that they can succeed at. That's something I've got to do a better job of.
All right, guys, Kenny Dillingham here again. I really struggled to get that answer with a straight face. I mean, we were damn lucky that Bavion came back in that game. Otherwise, we could have had 7 or 8 fumbles on snaps. Not that all the snaps were great, but luckily we didn't have a whole lot of botched exchanges or shotgun snaps over our heads. You know, when I said we need to figure out not asking them to do things they struggle at, well, they struggle at blocking, pass blocking and run blocking specifically. So I guess if you want to take away what they don't do very well, we could just punt on 1st down, and that would not give them an opportunity to mess up run blocking or pass blocking. But I mean, guys, come on. You have eyes. The dudes we have out there right now as a group, I think Atkins is doing a really good job for us overall, but the injury luck at his position just absolutely sucks. It is what it is. He thought he had 7 guys who could play. I don't think he was necessarily wrong there, but Schrader with the leg not coming back for a long time. Lucas kicked off the team or quit or whatever you want to go with there. Quit. Okay. DLT, not the same player. Murray Smith, out. Robert Scott, out. I mean, that's 5. 5 of your best, 8? I think we're pretty confident in. That's tough. Some of these guys are not scholarship-worthy players, and we're having to play them right now. Just plain and simple. They not saying they're not FBS quality, but they're not ACC quality scholarship guys. They would not be in a 2-deep at some of these other schools. They're about 1 or 2 more classes away from really not having some of these depth issues. But unfortunately, we suffered some injuries at some spots that we just can't suffer. And our option is get the guys back or keep getting our ass beat up front and losing a whole bunch of games. There's not much I can do about that.
Dillingham on game planning and gap schemes. I think offensively, when we know what to do, I think we can run gap schemes. I think we're efficient in the gap schemes. I think we're good on the perimeter blocking. I think the naked game is something that has been a positive for us. But in all, I wouldn't say right now, I don't think we have an identity. I didn't hear that line. That's tough. I think with all the shuffling or injuries for quarterbacks or offensive line shuffling, I don't think we've established a true identity of what we are or what we're good at, because every week it could be something else. One week we're elite at uh, third and short. We line up in the Wildcat and score versus Notre Dame. The next week we line up in the Wildcat versus Jacksonville State, and go 0 for 4. So the question is what we're figuring out. What is our identity? What are our strengths? And the change week to week based off the availability of our guys. We've got to do a good job, like I've said multiple times. I've got to do a better job of what we think these two guys are going to come back for the game, and what our game can and what our game plan can be accordingly. Well, if they don't come back, okay, what do we do now? Because it's a completely different game plan without both of them in. And how do we prepare for both of our guys? And that's something that caught us this last week was the plan versus the people. And we had a good plan, but when the people changed, we needed to adjust our plan. And I didn't do a good enough job of adjusting that, especially in the third and short situations.
All right. You guys ever watched that show Top Chef? Or what's the show? You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm a football coach, so I don't get to watch a lot of TV, but the show where they give you a basket of ingredients and it's like a mystery basket, and then you got to make a meal, and you're competing against somebody else to do it. You know what I'm talking about? Is that Top Chef? It's not. It's what's the name of that show, guys? Come on. Everybody's got smartphones here, technology.
Chopped.
Right?
Is that it?
Chopped. Yeah. You guys ever watch Chopped? I feel like every day I go out to practice, I'm in some kind of football version of Chopped. It's like, all right, today your quarterback is this, and your offensive line is this, right? And your receivers are, we don't have any receivers today. Sorry. And your cooking utensil today is a toaster, but it only has 2 settings, 1 and 10. So, all right, may the best chef win. 30 minutes are on the clock. Of course, we don't have an identity right now. We don't have any consistency about who's actually available to practice on a day-to-day basis. When's the last time we had a practice where most of our offensive starters were there for more than 2-3 days in a row? We're trying to work through that. We're just trying to figure out anything that works right now. Like developing an identity almost implies that we have some options to choose from. I don't know that we do. We're trying to find anything that can work, guys. We're trying to not go, 1 and 11, 2 and 10 here. I'd love to find an identity, but like Kenny Dillingham said, what are our strengths? They change week to week based off availability of guys. That's problematic. Our strengths are occasionally tricking people, and we have 2 backs who run the ball pretty well, actually. So I think that's probably on me to get those guys the ball even more and just see what happens there. But I do think that this offense has some potential if it gets some blocking back and if these young receivers can come on. I mean, Parchment, whatever, but Mike McClain, he keeps getting more and more snaps. We keep being more pleased with him. We'll see what happens, but we definitely don't have an identity right now. Like our identity, we'd like just to have everybody show up to practice consistently. That would be a good step in creating an identity.
Final one from Coach Dillingham is on the subject of KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I'm with you. I agree. Get everybody on the same page. But with that, there's just a lack of being able to help, right? It goes back to the conversation we just had. Are we going to be able to be simple, stupid, and everybody's going to be on the same page and go execute? Versus are we going to be all right? So there's this particular paragraph's a little bit tough in the audio translation. Well, we're not going to be able to go out and help our guys as much win without leverages, but we're not going to be able to scheme up as many, not necessarily man beaters, but schemed open guys if we keep it like that. especially with the drastic changes we've seen from defenses play us as opposed to how they played their opponents the few weeks previously. I think there's a balance of that, especially when you're up front. But I also think you have to put together the plan for what you think is going to be available to put your guys in the best position possible to be successful. That's what we did last week, but unfortunately it didn't work out.
Did you guys just hear anything that I have said this entire Keep It Real session? Like, are you serious? Every answer I have literally said some version of physically we can't block them and our receivers do not win one-on-ones at all. So we have to trick people. Keep it simple, stupid is basically the opposite of that. We need to be the most complex operation known to man to try to create wide open guys somehow, to try to create coverage busts and run fit busts and missed assignments by the defense. That is our only goal right now. Physically, we don't have guys who can compete in the ACC. So I would say like that question is terrible and literally should not be asked of me, Kenny Dillingham, because I've told you in 7 or 8 answers in a row that we're trying our damnedest to trick people here, and it's just not working so far. So I don't really think keeping it super simple, unless you guys are just talking about playing on PlayStation, and then we'll just turn injuries off. And if we turn injuries off, well, we can't go back in time and turn Milton's injury off, obviously. So like, let's just focus on the 2021 season. We're going to turn Jordan Travis's injuries off so that we can just run him 20 times a game, and then we'll just run the ball about 60 times a game, throw some play action off it, and see if that's enough to get us maybe to 3 or 4 wins this year, and pick off some of these ACC teams that aren't looking that great. But yeah, keep it simple, stupid is really not a great option for us right now, in my opinion.
All right, that will bring an end to our coordinator interpretation, or whatever you want to call it. That was fun. I particularly enjoyed the Dillingham part of that. Look, you're just not, when you're 0-3 and you're standing up as a coordinator, there's not going to be a whole lot that you say that doesn't get, picked apart or criticized. So I think it's fair to maybe give a little bit more of a nuanced look at what the coordinators are actually maybe trying to say in their answers and the reality of the situation that they're having to work with. Nonetheless, both of these guys, as all of Florida State staff, has woefully underperformed so far, and hopefully, they'll be able to find a couple of those games on the schedule to grab wins. In which, at this point, it's hard for us to find them out there. But no, I think that was informative, and I'm glad we did that. And it's a little something unique, when there's 42 other podcasts out there covering Florida State football at this point. It's good for us to do something that at least for a couple weeks you probably won't hear from somebody else.